could barely walk. His legs felt hot and painful, heavy. The first doctor tried to warm him. He got worse. The second doctor tried to nourish him. He got worse again. Then a third doctor asked one question the others had missed. What kind of life had this body been living? If you are too tired to think, but somehow still too awake to rest, let this ancient Chinese medical story take over for a little while. Fall asleep when you are ready. Qing Dynasty, Southern China. There was a gentleman in his late 40s, not young anymore, but far from old. One day, his legs started to hurt. Not the kind of pain from an injury, more like a deep, hot, heavy ache that came from inside. When you touched his legs, they felt warm. Walking became difficult. Every step felt like his legs were filled with lead. The gentleman went to see a doctor. The first doctor examined him, felt his pulse, and said this was a blockage condition. Wind, cold, and dampness had invaded the channels. He needed warming herbs to drive out the cold. The doctor prescribed formulas designed to warm and open the blocked pathways. The gentleman took them. Didn't get better. Got worse. His legs didn't just hurt anymore. They started to swell. The color turned purplish. He went to see another doctor. This doctor looked at the swollen legs and said this was depletion. The body was deficient. Yin and blood were low. Empty fire was rising. He needed to nourish the kidneys and build up yin. The doctor prescribed tonics to replenish what was missing. The gentleman took them. The pain got worse. And now he couldn't eat. His whole body felt weaker and weaker. His family panicked. 2 doctors, both treatments making things worse. Someone suggested going to Jinza to see a physician named Wu. He was known for careful diagnosis. Many people sought him out. The gentleman went. Wu was a county scholar who had turned to medicine in middle age, locally respected. He asked the gentleman to sit down and took his pulse first. The pulse was soft and rapid. Soft suggested dampness. Rapid suggested heat. Then he didn't immediately prescribe anything. He asked, "Do you drink alcohol?" The gentleman paused. "Yes, quite a bit." "How much?" "Almost every day, and not small amounts." Wu nodded. "Your leg pain," Wu said, "is not from cold. And it's not from deficiency. It's from damp heat." "Damp heat?" "Yes. You've been drinking heavily for a long time. Alcohol has a hot and damp nature. Over years, that damp heat accumulates in the body. It sinks down into the legs and blocks the channels. That's why your legs feel hot, painful, and swollen." But the first 2 doctors, they saw pain and thought of blockage from cold, so they used warming herbs. But your pain is hot pain, not cold pain. Warming herbs made the heat worse, so of course the pain got worse. And the second doctor? He saw that you were depleted and thought of deficiency, so he prescribed tonics. But your depletion comes from damp heat obstructing the spleen and stomach. When you tonify on top of that, the damp heat gets more stuck. Of course, you felt worse. The gentleman was starting to understand. So, what now? Clear heat, drain dampness, move out what's been sitting there. Wu wrote a prescription: Job's tears, mulberry bark, Stephania root, silkworm droppings, tokoro root, large gentian, mulberry twigs, acaranthes, akebia, all herbs that clear heat, drain dampness, and open the channels. The gentleman took them. First day, his legs felt a bit lighter. Second day, the swelling started to go down. Third day, the pain was cut in half. Every day a little better. Less than a month later, completely recovered. Could walk, could eat. Legs no longer hurt or swollen. Color back to normal. Later, the gentleman told people about this experience. He said those first 2 doctors weren't bad doctors. What they saw was reasonable. Leg pain can be caused by cold blockage. Bodily depletion can require nourishment. But they only saw the pain and the weakness. They didn't look at what was behind it. Dr. Wu was different. He asked about my life. He asked if I drank. That one question made the whole pattern clear. My legs didn't suddenly break down. My habits over many years had accumulated this problem in my body. The key to this story isn't the leg pain itself. It's that question: do you drink alcohol? The first 2 doctors looked at symptoms. Pain suggests cold, so use warming herbs. Weakness suggests deficiency, so use tonics. Both reasonable guesses. But they didn't ask where this pain came from. Wu asked. He didn't just look at the pain in the present moment. He looked at the pain's history. What kind of life had this body been living for the past few years, the past decade? What had been eaten, drunk, done? What had these habits, day after day, left behind in the body? In Chinese medicine's framework, illness doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's the result of long-term accumulation. Could be diet, emotion, sleep patterns, weather exposure. Little by little, these things build into a pattern. Then, at some point, the body says, "I can't hold this anymore." Symptoms appear. But the symptoms are just the final result. The real source is in the life being lived. The gentleman's leg pain looked like a leg problem, but the root was alcohol. Years of drinking had generated damp heat that sank into the legs. If you only look at the legs, only look at the pain, you'll treat in the wrong direction. But if you ask about life, ask about habits, you see the whole picture. How does this connect to you? Have you ever had this experience? Your knee hurts, you go to the doctor. Doctor says inflammation, gives you anti-inflammatory medication. You take it, feel better for a while. A few months later, hurts again. Go back, more medication, better for a while. Then it hurts again, over and over. Why? Because maybe the medication only suppressed the symptom without addressing the source. The source might be that you sit all day, you're carrying extra weight, your diet leans damp and heavy, your movement patterns are off. If those don't change, the knee will keep having problems. Modern people do this all the time. Whatever hurts, we only look there. Knee hurts, only look at the knee. Stomach hurts, only look at the stomach. Head hurts, only look at the head. But Chinese medicine often asks a less convenient question. What has been feeding this pattern? Food, drink, sleep, weather, work, emotion, repetitive movements. The painful place is where the body speaks loudly, but the source may be somewhere quieter, in your daily choices, in your long-term habits. Dr. Wu didn't blame the gentleman for drinking. He didn't say, "Look what you've done to yourself." He just asked what kind of life this body had been carrying. Then he saw the whole picture. The leg pain wasn't isolated. It was the result of years of drinking habits. Understanding that, the direction of treatment became clear. Not warming, not tonifying. Clearing heat and draining dampness. After the gentleman recovered, did he keep drinking? The record doesn't say, but he learned something. The body keeps a quiet record, not to punish you, but to show you what has been repeated for too long. And at some point, it will use pain, illness, symptoms to remind you that something needs to change. Not as punishment, as a message. I need a different kind of life now. The painful place tells you where the body is speaking. The habit explains why it had to speak there. If you only look at the pain, you might keep treating the surface without reaching the root. But if you're willing to look at your life, at those day after day choices, you might find that the answer has been there all along. That's enough for tonight. If one line stays with you, keep it. If sleep takes the rest, even better. Rest well. Heerin. Eat, play, heal.